Federal agencies are accelerating their adoption of artificial intelligence. They are being deployed in cybersecurity, healthcare, national security, and the administration of public benefits. To maintain oversight, policymakers rely on the human in the loop. A data stream enters an AI system, routing final output through a human reviewer before action is taken. The logic is straightforward. If a person is involved, accountability is preserved. But human presence is not governance. There is a vital distinction between being technically in the loop and possessing the actual authority, information, and institutional support necessary to challenge a system. Relying on a person's mere presence fails to answer the ultimate question of responsibility: who is held accountable when the system fails? To understand why this model often fails, we have to look at the day-to-day conditions of the reviewer. Without specific institutional protections, a reviewer's involvement is procedural rather than meaningful. First, the reviewer often lacks the underlying information. If they cannot see the data the AI used to reach a conclusion, they cannot verify its logic. Second, they may lack the specialized expertise required to interpret complex algorithmic outputs or detect subtle technical errors. Third, they are often denied the time necessary to perform a thorough review before an automated decision must be enforced. Finally, the reviewer often operates without institutional support. They are placed in the workflow but lack the formal power to challenge the machine's recommendation. When these conditions are absent, human involvement becomes little more than a compliance exercise, a procedural rubber stamp that offers the appearance of oversight without the reality of it. This creates several structural breaking points where the oversight model collapses under real-world pressure. The reviewer node is bombarded by machine outputs, making verification impossible. Time constraints compress operational space, forcing data through at machine pace. Walled-off databases leave the reviewer blind. Without authority, the reject pathway is disabled, leaving only one path: approve. This paralysis state is the opposite of meaningful accountability. The failure stems from the belief that accountability can be retrofitted onto a system at the moment a decision is finalized. Attempting to execute governance only at the endpoint of a process is a systemic error. An isolated reviewer, constrained by time and information, cannot serve as the sole mechanism for preventing systemic AI failures. To find where oversight actually begins, we have to look back on the timeline, moving away from the final decision to the pre-deployment phase. True governance is the foundation constructed before activation. Procurement choices set the standards. This connects to deployment policies, defining how the system operates. The third pillar is the escalation procedure, providing a path to flag concerns. Finally, audit mechanisms ensure recommendations can be scrutinized. These pillars create a safe environment for deployment by providing the necessary institutional context. But this architecture only works if there is a designated official situated within the network. This official must hold three specific powers: the authority to suspend deployment, the right to require additional review, and the responsibility to accept consequences. Without this pre-deployment architecture, a human in the loop is simply an individual operating in an institutional vacuum. We can see this framework in action within the Department of Defense, where AI-enabled tools track shifting targets in high-speed tactical environments. The DoD uses these decision support tools to assist warfighters and commanders in making rapid assessments. But even in national security, human involvement alone does not resolve the question of accountability. The institution must explicitly define who holds the authority to override or suspend these systems, and who remains responsible for the outcome of their use. This requirement for clear authority is not unique to the military. It applies equally to civilian healthcare, benefits distribution, and law enforcement. In these sectors, the principle remains the same. Oversight requires an official with the designated authority to intervene. Meaningful oversight depends not on the presence of a person, but on institutions capable of exercising judgment and assigning responsibility. Artificial intelligence changes how agency decisions are formulated and executed. This forces a choice between two models. On the left, we have procedural compliance, the isolated human node. On the right, we have meaningful oversight, a robust network of governance. The difference is mechanical. One is a process, the other is authority. AI does not eliminate the need for responsibility. it makes the existence of capable institutions even more vital. Government agencies must establish these governance mechanisms before a single system is deployed. This means creating clear chains of responsibility, auditable trails, and empowering a person being in the loop is a mechanical description of a workflow. Human in the loop describes a process. Governance describes who remains in charge.